Hello everyone! In today's episode of Music Mechanics, we're going to compare the diatonic chord formulas for the natural and harmonic minor scales, we'll discuss the hybrid minor diatonic chord formula, we'll introduce borrowed chords, and we'll introduce the melodic minor scale along with its historical uses. Let's get to it! Let's compare the diatonic chord formulas for the natural and harmonic minor scales now. First, we'll look at the diatonic chords from the natural minor scale. And the triads. And here are the diatonic chords from the harmonic minor scale. And the triads. Here's a comparative look for the diatonic chord formulas for these two scales. Two chords from the harmonic minor scale are slightly unusual sounding, the 1 minor major 7, and especially the 3 major 7 sharp 5. Because of this, you might conclude that the natural minor scale diatonic chord formula is favored over the harmonic minor scale diatonic chord formula. This is not entirely the case. The diatonic chord formula in common use to achieve a minor sound as opposed to a major sound is actually a hybrid created from both the natural and harmonic minor scales, shown here. This hybrid minor diatonic chord formula is sort of a fusion of the two minor scales, and in fact, the two scales are very similar and have only one note different between them, the 7th scale degree. Notice it's the natural minor diatonic chord formula except for the 5-7. The 5-7 is borrowed from the harmonic minor diatonic chord formula, and so it's referred to as a borrowed chord from the harmonic minor scale. We'll cover borrowed chords in more detail later. To understand the reasons for this borrowed chord, we need to put things in a historical context. Much of our understanding of harmony today originated from classical music. As I stated in the last episode, chords were primarily triadic during the classical period, so let's look at the triads created from the natural minor scale again. I also mentioned in the last episode that the harmonic minor scale has a leading tone similar to the major scale, which has a tendency to want to resolve to the tonic. Now let's take a look at the harmonic minor diatonic chord formula for triads. This leading tone from the harmonic minor scale can be found in the 5 chord of the harmonic minor diatonic chord formula. A very common succession of chords you will see is a 5 chord followed by a 1 chord, either a 1 major or a 1 minor. The reason for this has to do with the aforementioned leading tone of the harmonic minor scale that is found in the 5 chord. Notice how this leading tone that is present in the 5 chord wants to resolve to the tonic present in the 1 minor chord. If I were to stop on the 5 chord and go no further, listen to how unresolved it sounds. There's a certain sense of resolution you feel when you hear the 1 chord. Now let's try the 5 minor chord from the natural minor diatonic chord formula followed by a 1 minor chord. Although it works, the 5 minor chord doesn't seem to want to move to the 1 minor chord as strongly as the 5 major chord from the harmonic minor, since the 5 minor doesn't have a leading tone that's a half step away from the tonic of the 1 minor chord. Instead, the 5 minor has a chord factor that's a whole step away from the tonic of the 1 minor. Since the 5 major chord from the harmonic minor has a stronger tendency to want to go to the 1 minor than the 5 minor chord from the natural minor, composers use the 5 major instead. You will also find that melody note choices will usually, but not always, reflect this borrowed 5 chord from harmonic minor, demonstrating a leading tone in the melody when the 5 major chord appears, namely the natural 7th scale degree from the harmonic minor scale. In this case, it's the B natural from the C harmonic minor scale and not the B flat from the C natural minor scale when the 5 major chord appears. Notice the B natural when the G major 5 chord appears. In truth, there really isn't a hybrid minor scale to speak of, as it would consist of both a minor 7th and a major 7th. What actually occurs is either one or the other seventh is played when ascending or descending the scale, and the raised seventh degree is typically used over the 5 major chord to reinforce the leading tone present in the 5 major chord. As mentioned earlier, a 5 major chord followed by a 1 major chord is also a very common succession of chords from the major scale for the same reason. Namely, the leading tone found in the 5 major chord wants to resolve to the tonic of the 1 major chord. Regarding triads, this hybrid minor diatonic chord formula now looks like this. Here's the diatonic chord formula for the hybrid minor scale as triads. In older classical genres, the augmented second interval from the 6th to the 7th scale degree of the harmonic minor scale is usually avoided in melodies. Since classical music and current commercial music are both triadic, this formula is useful for current music too, although the 2 diminished is not really used in commercial music. One additional commonly used minor scale is the melodic minor scale. Since most scales ascend and descend using the exact same notes, this scale almost resembles a melody since it has 2 different versions, an ascending as well as a descending version. Both the ascending and descending versions are presented here. The ascending version has the same construction as a major scale with a lowered third. It can also be thought of as a harmonic minor scale with a raised 6th. The descending version has the exact same construction as the natural minor scale, or it has the same construction as a major scale with a lowered 3rd, 6th, and 7th. This traditional use of both the ascending and descending version of the melodic minor scale in the same piece of music is prevalent through the Baroque and Classical eras, from Bach to Beethoven. During this time period, the creation of this scale most likely developed due to the aforementioned exotic and perhaps uncomfortable sounding augmented second interval between the 6th and 7th scale degrees of the harmonic minor scale. The 3 half steps that make up this augmented second interval don't conform to the typical whole step and half step configuration of the other scales of the time period, namely the major and natural minor scales. To avoid this interval and to make the scale conform to the more typical whole step and half step scale construction, composers of the time period would either raise the 6th degree of the harmonic minor scale when ascending melodically, resulting in the ascending version of the melodic minor scale, or lower the 7th degree of the harmonic minor scale when descending melodically, resulting in the descending version of the melodic minor scale. During these classical periods, a minor melody ascending stepwise would often use the major 6th and 7th of the ascending melodic minor scale to reach the tonic at the octave. This would simultaneously get rid of the awkward augmented second interval as well as provide a leading tone that provided a gravitational pull toward the octave tonic. Conversely, when a minor melody descended stepwise, it would often employ the descending version of the melodic minor scale, which contains minor 7th and 6th scale degrees above the tonic. The sound of this may be familiar to you in a typical scale run such as this. A demonstration of this behavior can be found in measures 38 through 41 from Bach's Prelude No. 10 from the Well Tempered Clavier, Book 1. Let's take a look at this now. Notice the key is in E minor. Let's hear how this sounds. Notice the ascending and descending E melodic minor scale I have listed below this excerpt. If you look at the first measure listed here, which is actually measure 38, you'll notice the ascending version of the E melodic minor scale used when ascending stepwise. In measure 40, which is actually measure 3 in this example, notice the descending version of the E melodic minor scale used when descending stepwise. However, Bach did not always follow the rules regarding the traditional uses of the ascending and descending melodic minor scale. In measure 3 in this example, which is actually measure 40 in the sheet music, notice the melody descends with the ascending version of the melodic minor scale in the last 4/16 notes of the measure in the treble clef. Also note that the 3rd and 4th beats of this same measure in the bass clef demonstrate a melody ascending stepwise with the descending version of the melodic minor scale. Apparently, Bach didn't get the memo regarding the official melodic minor rules, and the melodic note choices seem chosen based on a desire to create contrary motion, that is, descending and ascending lines between the treble and bass clef melodic lines. Also, each pair of notes on each 16th subdivision creates temporary harmony. In other words, since there are essentially a maximum of only 3 melodic lines performed simultaneously, the harmony is basically created at any given moment from the combination of 2 or 3 melodic lines. Whenever analyzing music, it's good to realize that nothing lives in a vacuum, that melody and harmony are related and often function together. They are not usually independent of each other. This example clearly illustrates that the rules regarding the specific uses of the ascending and descending versions of the melodic minor scale are not absolute. There are numerous examples in classical literature that demonstrate a minor melody descending stepwise using the ascending version of the melodic minor scale. There are also many examples demonstrating a minor melody ascending stepwise using the descending version of the melodic minor scale. These historical uses of the melodic minor scale are loose guidelines at best. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like and leave a comment below if you have any questions. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you like the music you've been listening to, please be sure to check out my friend Loren Pickford's album, Dancing in the Spirit Fires, at this link.